Okay, let's go.
All right. So what's everyone? Welcome to Impera Gaming's second streamer interview. I'm Sergeant Vapes. I am the ESL division lead of Impera, and my co-host here is Blason. He is our marketing officer. Today we have the privilege to speak with the Russian Reaper himself. So everybody hide your Tachanka, let the rats go back into hiding, and let's give a welcome to the one and only Landmark. For those of you who don't know,
Everybody.
For those of you who don't know, Landmark is a Twitch streamer that creates content primarily on Escape from Tarkov. He is currently one of the top ranked players in EFT and has about 12,000 player kills. Is that about right?
Yeah, a little over that now. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
very, very impressive. I think we saw you're averaging, what, like 300 kills every 2 days?
Something like that, yeah.
Wow.
Oh man.
That's very impressive. Oh. All right, Blason, you want to take the lead on it?
Yeah. So, Lemar, when did you first hear about Tarkov, and what got you started into playing it?
So I first heard about the game early on when it wasn't even a beta yet. I think it was still, they were just teasing the idea of the game. It was probably around 2014. I was still in college then. So that was before Tarkov was even a game. It was just a concept. And they were teasing out like images and stuff. And one of my friends got it about almost 3 years later in 2017, early on in the development. And two of my buddies got the game, and they're like, "Yo, this game's awesome. You got to check it out." There were guys that I used to play games like Arma and DayZ with, so they told me to get the game, and I tried it, and it was awesome, man. It was like a super hardcore game, and there's nothing else like it, so it just drew me in right away.
I think that's really neat, dude. So you've been here like since the start of the game to now. You've seen the growth, the changes,
Yeah,
everything
pretty
advance.
much.
Man,
Yeah.
that's really cool. And I agree with
Yeah,
you on
it
the.
was a
Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, it was a totally different game back then. Like even just the progress they've made on a development front is kind of incredible. I know people give a lot of flack to the devs right now about issues with bugs and servers, but if you saw where the game was and where it is now, it's really, they've done a really good job on the game.
Yeah, I can hear that. And another thing you mentioned was like the how hard the game is. This is probably one of the steepest learning curves with
Oh
little forgiveness that I've
yeah.
ever seen in a game. So I understand
Yeah,
that one.
for sure.
Yeah, they just throw you to the wolves, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of resources now though. Like online, the Reddit is really active, so you could find a lot of information if you really go and look for it.
Yeah. So with that in mind, do you think for like the newer players coming and facing that learning curve, is it better for them to start learning it with a group or just go in solo trial by fire? What do you think is the best way to go?
Um, Probably the fastest way to learn is probably to do it alone.
Okay.
But regardless, I would recommend. It can be a little more. I mean, it's kind of daunting going in alone. So going in with a friend or two might help you out and give you some more motivation. But I would always recommend before people really play the game to try and do a little bit of research on the mechanics, figure out how things like armor and ammo work, and maybe health. So you should probably learn health, armor, and ammo, how those mechanics work before you start the game. It'll save you a lot of frustration where and confusion on how you shot a guy 10 times and you didn't die, stuff like that. It'll save you a lot of headache, and it'll make you understand the game a lot more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the wiki is a good place to go and just look at stuff like that.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's an interesting point of view for sure, dude. Very, very
Yeah,
interesting.
it's one of the few games that you doing a little bit of research might help you out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Research before play.
I've heard
Yeah.
map knowledge is everything for Tarkov.
True. Yeah. Also, going offline. One of the first things you should do before you load a raid, go in offline mode and just get a general idea of the map. You can pull up an online map and run around, and just try to get a little bit of bearings on what the map looks like.
Mm, yeah.
At least figure out the extracts and stuff. Because even if you go in, you might not. It might take you 20 minutes to find the extracts.
Oh, I feel that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's happened to me. It's
Yeah.
happened to me.
It
I
happens to
still
everyone,
struggle.
man. It
Yeah,
happens
yeah.
to everyone. We're all start off at the same place in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, landmark for you. So since we're on the top of new players, what version do you suggest them buying first, or do you recommend, or is standard
Um,
fine?
so I would say if you really enjoy the game, I think the price of Edge of Darkness is worth it. If you play a lot and you enjoy the game, um, getting the upgraded edition is probably a good idea. But you can always buy the standard and then upgrade later on. And there's it's pretty seamless now. You don't have to like reset your account or anything. So you could try out the game, play it for, a week, a month, 2 months, and then you could always upgrade from there. So you don't really have to make like too much commitment on that front.
Absolutely.
The EOD edition is more, it's a convenience. You don't need it. Everything in there, pretty much, you can get just from normal gameplay. But it's more of like a convenience thing.
All right.
Sure.
So, with the whole being here for a while and being through all the updates, the most recent ones, there's a big thing going on about people and how they feel about the interchange updates. And to me,
Yeah.
it also goes back to what you said regarding finding extracts, because that's my worst map. Interchange is my absolute worst map.
It's tough. Yeah,
So,
it's tough.
how do you feel about, or what are your thoughts, I should say, about them adding the extra extractions, the looting areas, the alarms, metal detectors, the lighting fixes? Do you think that is going to help a lot more for that map of people going into it and learning?
Um, I wish they did the extracts a little bit differently than they did. I thought they were gonna. They kind of feels like they added a bunch of extracts that aren't all that useful.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wish that they would, or I think they might. They'll probably go back and tweak how those work. Interchange is definitely one of the most difficult maps, at least from the staying alive perspective. But I think
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah, it's really tough because there's, especially solo. If you're in a group, it's a little bit better because you have more people to check angles. Um, but I think that we might see some more change. I don't think that map's done yet, right?
No, I
I
agree
think
with you.
the lighting changes and the key cards are all really cool additions. I think they need to work out the extracts a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Awesome, though.
the angles on that map is absolutely disgusting. I can't tell you how many
Yeah.
times I got shot in the back from
Yeah.
above.
It's one of those maps that even for someone like me who's been playing this game for years, the way people play that map is always changing because it's so dynamic, I guess, and there's so many different ways to move and position yourself there. That it's always changing how people play, and even for someone like me, like I don't spot people all the time. You get shot out of nowhere. It's really
I feel
tough.
it. I feel it. Oh man. So okay, I want to throw a very off the wall question, like off topic
All
out
right,
there. And it's
do it.
because I'm absolutely in love with your background, right? I was in the military for 6 years, dude. That's the
Oh,
coolest
thank you, man.
background I've ever seen. So with that, seeing everything you have right there blows me away. Like that's my dream armory
Yeah.
collection right there.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, man.
What is your favorite piece of equipment that you have behind you right there?
Knight's Armament SR-15.
Okay.
It was one of the
Wow.
first like larger gun purchases that I made a
Okay.
long time ago. So
Wow.
it kind of just has a special place in my heart.
I feel it. That's
Yeah, it was like one of like the first like more rare gun. I mean, they're not as rare anymore, but when I got it, bought it like 7 years ago now. It was like
Wow.
a year and a half waiting list just to get one. So
I
it was
gotcha.
like it was a whole big deal for me. Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing though.
A little bit
I
jealous.
want I want to one day have that behind me. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing.
Just don't have a girlfriend, a wife, no kids.
I'm already
Well,
too late for me.
yeah, yep.
Oh, that's so amazing. Layson, you got anything?
So on that topic again, feeling what is your dream firearm you wish to own? Since we're on
Oh,
that
man.
topic.
Huh. What would it be? I mean, everyone wants a Barrett M107, but realistically, that's not the gun I would pick. I think I have most of like what I would really want. If I could have like a real Scar H, like it's 7.62, like a real full auto one, which you
Mm.
obviously can't get in the U.S. That would be probably my dream gun,
Okay.
but that's unobtainable.
Mm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want a Lapua. That's one of my dream rifles right there. The 338.
338 Lapua. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the ammo, man.
Oh,
It's expensive.
it is. It is.
You're broke
That's
with
true.
that.
Yeah,
It
I
would
would
be a
have fun with the
display.
ones. Actually, I would agree with that. The Accuracy International AWM would be a really cool gun to own.
Okay. That's
That's
awesome,
your
dude.
338 right there, man.
Uh, so, do you have any that you've custom built or that you plan on doing?
Um, I don't have any plans for more purchases at the
Okay.
moment.
Yeah, let me hold
I
up.
just bought a bunch of PC upgrades for the stream. So,
Okay.
there's no gun purchases on the way, but I have built stuff in the past, but
Okay.
I've mostly sold all of that and gone more the route of buying just brands that I enjoy, and trying to find like
Yeah.
more collectible items,
All right.
slowly upgrading time, you know?
That's awesome, though, dude.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
I'm still jealous.
Yeah, I know.
Can't
Man.
get past it. Oh. All right. So, back to the Tarkov side. So, all right. Whenever you're going into a raid, how do you go about picking what caliber you run? Are you looking more for damage versus pin? Are you looking at the quality for the price? What do you go through to pick your ammunition?
So for me, okay, so that depends on a few things. It kind of depends on the current stage you are in the wipe.
Okay.
So yeah, so for everyone, like earlier in the wipe, people are running, lower tier gear, less armor, less penetrative ammo. Whereas some like now we're more developed into the wipe. Everyone has their stash built up. They have good guns. They have good armor. They have access to all of that stuff. So it kind of depends where you are in the stage of the wipe. Right now, where we are, I would say that I mostly I don't really consider the price of ammo. I think everyone should always invest in good ammo in Tarkov. That should be one of the first things you buy when you pick a loadout is picking good ammo. Before your fancy armor, fancy gun attachments, and all that, you want to put good ammo in your gun. I
Okay.
generally like the ammos that do higher damage, just because of the way that health works in the game. Your arms and limbs can soak a lot of hits if you don't place your shots carefully. So sometimes like the 7.62 caliber rifles are a lot more forgiving. But I would always recommend, at least in this point in the wipe, having a bullet that will penetrate a level 4 helmet. Just in case, because that's kind of the standard tier for helmets right now. Like most people are, if they're wearing a helmet, it's probably level 4. So if you hit that headshot, you want it to go through
To
and
go
kill them.
through.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because the one hit headshot is pretty strong in this game.
Yeah.
How about
That's
the shredding the leg technique? Is that a technique that you use a lot, or?
No, I don't recommend it.
Okay.
It can work. The thing with, so everyone calls it leg meta, right? Like
Yeah,
you
the
spray
leg
down a
meta.
guy's legs with an SMG or something. It'll work. It'll kill people. My whole thing with that is I'd rather shoot them once in the head or twice in the chest and kill them than shoot them 6 times in the leg, especially because you can't always see a guy's legs.
Yeah, this is true.
What if you're fighting in a hallway and he's just leaning out on the side and you can only see his face and he's wearing a visor? Then what are you gonna do?
that's a very good point.
It
Yeah.
can work. The best tactic with that is if you catch someone off guard, it'll work. But if you're in a head-on fair firefight, shooting them in the legs is probably not the best way to go, right?
Yeah. All
You're
right.
better off
Yeah.
having that ammo and punching right through their helmet.
For sure.
So, in regards to all that combined, what do you think is one of the best skills to develop between stuff like trigger discipline, knowing when to pull the trigger, all that, to lure the players in, or is just losing gear fear one of the top skills that you got to learn?
Losing gear fear is probably the main thing that a lot of beginners in the game need to get over. And that comes with you mentioned trigger discipline,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's not even. I think a lot of people they have too much trigger discipline and they hesitate too much.
Okay.
and they have a shot at a guy and they don't take it because they're afraid, or they're waiting for that perfect moment to like wait for the guy to stand still, line up the headshot, and that moment doesn't always happen.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
if you can kind of get over the fear of losing your stuff and fighting players, and that just comes with playtime. But the more you play, the more comfortable you'll get, and you'll take a little more maybe risky engagements, and that'll ultimately help you get better at the game. You're never gonna have
Okay.
like, or you're rarely gonna have the perfect opportunity to line up the clean headshot, and sometimes you just have to go for it. Sometimes you miss, sometimes you pull it off.
Hmm.
Um, but the more engagements you get in, and the more of those chances you take, you're gonna you're gonna be fighting players more frequently, and you're gonna get better at the game more quickly, right? Um, if you, I always say, use your gear, or think of gear, like when people have gear fear, they're always like, oh, I don't want to lose this fancy gun in my stash. Gear comes and goes in Tarkov. You get it all the time, and you should think about your items and your money as a currency, not to buy gear, but to trade for experience in PvP and get better. So don't be concerned. Like if your money is going up in Tarkov, it doesn't
Okay.
mean, a lot of people get stuck in the mindset that your stash value is going up, I'm getting better at the game. You're not necessarily, right? If you're just farming money, that doesn't translate to your skill in PvP, or your mechanics in the game, your movements, using the keybinds correctly. So even if you're going down in your stash value, you might be getting better at the game and learning through trial and error.
I
So
needed to
don't
hear
be
that.
Yeah.
so focused.
Yeah.
Yeah, like don't be so focused on the number. Obviously, don't go broke.
Yeah.
Try not to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
broke in the
Yeah.
game. Like fighting players. But like, if you have a decent way of making money, and you die a few times, but you learn from each of those engagements, like you're getting better, and it'll help you make more money in the future.
See, I agree with that
So
because there's
yeah,
some people that I know that have a lot of money and all they do is hatchling runs.
yeah,
How does that translate over to skill when you're gonna go on
exactly.
super
Yeah.
expensive rig?
Super tiered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's
mentioning, yeah, like you mentioned, that the hatchet and pistol running. I think those are tools I recommend to people to use if you need to get a quest done.
hmm
If you're really broke and you hit rock bottom and you don't know what to do. Um, but I always recommend bring in a kit, and if you lose it, you lose it, right? You can get more money back in the game, and you don't want to fall into that mindset of having, equating your progress in the game with your stash value. Um,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
you get in that mindset where, yeah, if you bring out a kit that costs you 500,000 rubles and you die and your money goes down, you feel really bad, right? And you kind of you want to default to just going back to doing those loot runs because it makes the number go back up and you feel good. But
hmm
as long as you're playing and you're taking away a lesson from every mistake, every success, and you're constantly trying to improve, you'll find the game a lot more rewarding, I think.
I agree with
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's definitely weird about this game, I think more than any other game, it's almost like a psychological game more than
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing.
Mhm.
hmm You can
Yeah.
get I have times like when I run solo. I did it today actually, where every noise just builds anxiety, and I'm like, they're gonna jump out of anywhere because I was on interchange, and it always
Yeah. Oh
happens.
well, that's
And
interchange. Yeah.
I psyched myself out with it, and I wasn't prepared. Somebody whipped a
Mhm.
corner where I should have expected, and down I went.
Yeah. It
So
happens to everyone, but that's part of the game, right? That's part of the
absolutely,
fun. It's part of the fun, and it's
that's
part of the
true.
frustration at the same time.
That's very true. Okay, so here's another one. And this question actually, I'm curious what your opinion is because my experience with it, I definitely have built up my own kind of biased answer. Um,
Okay.
so when you run with a squad, do you recommend everybody take just kind of whatever loadout they want or have individual roles with according weapons?
Mm. Uh, you should you should probably have the capability of doing long range and close range, which most guns in this game can do already.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can take, even if you like an AK, you can put a scope and a red dot on it, so you can have like a 4x and a 1x.
Yep.
I don't think you need to be too focused about rolls. It's more what you're comfortable with. You can kind of make most guns work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't do a lot of squad play, so I might not be the best person to answer that. But I would, as long as you're going in and you're comfortable with your kit, you should be all right.
All right. I think your opinion counts, having over 12,000 kills. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
my experience on it is we have the Batavi squad within Impera, and pretty much how our Batavi squad runs is we have rolls 1 through 5. 1 is point, 5 is the rear, and everybody in there has weapons according to where they're at. So like I'm always 5. I'm always watching the rear. Kind of keep a close to mid-range weapon for if I'm on stairs, stuff like that. Just because I know kind of where I'm going to be looking for most of the time. But in situations where the teams aren't as coordinated, I would 100% agree with your answer on that.
Okay, if you're very coordinated like that, yeah, I'm not that coordinated. I kind of run around a lot. Yeah, then that makes a lot more sense. But if you're kind of just 3 guys, hey, you want to jump in a raid on Tarkov?
Which is most of the time what happens. Most of the time.
Yeah. So then I wouldn't be too worried about it. Could you be more efficient in a squad with specific loadouts? Probably.
Okay.
Do you have to do that? No.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. I think it also depends on the map too, right? If you're on like maybe a map like you mentioned, Interchange, there's a lot of long range and close range.
Oh,
so then maybe having different people with just more specialized loadouts could be helpful.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Landmark, do you have a preferred hand grenade you typically like using a lot, or just whatever you grab?
Yeah, kind of whatever I grab. The new grenades are really interesting, so I've been playing with those a lot. I think it's the VOG 17 is I think that's my favorite at the current moment. It's the 2.5-second fuse one. Those are pretty nasty in close range. You can throw one in a room with a guy, and if he doesn't react right away, he's gone. But usually I tell people, maybe an exception to the new grenades because they blow up so fast, the RGDs, the F1s, and the M67s, they're not really I don't use them with the intent to kill people most of the time. I mostly use them push people off of angles and get them to reposition. So you throw a grenade at a guy and use the small window of time that you have to push him, to move yourself and peek from a different angle, to push him off of his angle so you can maneuver differently. They're mostly, or I mostly use them like from a more like tactical aspect. Especially if you use the M67s with the long fuse time, you can really abuse, because when you throw a grenade, the enemy doesn't know what grenade you're throwing unless he can really see it clearly. So you can use the knowledge of the fuse time of the grenade to kind of make a move on the guy. So if you throw a grenade with a 5-second fuse, he doesn't know if that's a 2-second fuse grenade, a 3-second.
He's just gonna run.
He just wants to get away from it. So you can throw a grenade and run over the grenade and go into a room and have it blow up behind you. And now he has no idea where you are. And you can kind of abuse that knowledge and make plays on it.
I have never considered doing that.
Wow.
That shows the experience level difference, though.
I would say, the new grenades they added are more for just throwing at people and getting them to blow up. But especially, you can see it a lot when I play on Labs. I use that a lot because Labs is a map where it's a lot of tight corridors, doorways, people just posting up on like a spot, only showing their head. And if you want to push a guy, you kind of need to get him off of that angle, even if it's only for a second. Throwing a grenade and getting him to stop, holding an angle can be extremely valuable.
All right.
It also causes chaos because people freak out. Say it's a group of guys and they're in a room and you throw a grenade, all their communication goes out the window.
Yep.
Everyone sees a grenade and they just start running.
Especially if one person screams.
Yeah, exactly. You can cause a lot of havoc in that confusion.
Yeah. So I have a question for equipment because I've heard this quite a bit recently. I love running the Reaper. You know, the
Uh-huh.
thermals,
Okay,
and
here we go.
yep. I bet you know where this is coming or
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Do you think that some people become too dependent on the Reaper?
Ooh, I don't know. My stance with the Reaper, I try not to use it a lot. I think it's extremely strong on certain maps like
Hmm.
woods and customs. It can be, deadly. Seeing people through brush. Be too dependent on it. I think yes. Honestly, even when I use it, I notice myself instead of using my eyes to look around, I'm just looking for white glow through the scope. So I think you can fall into the habit of kind of just relying on it a little bit too much.
Okay.
Um, they're strong, they're fun to use. Um, I think Battle State Games needs to do a little bit of tweaking with them.
I could
Um,
agree with that.
yeah, I would try not to, rely on them too much. I think they kind of deteriorate your skill a little bit in terms of uh, thinking about how players are maneuvering the map and using your eyes to spot people.
Okay.
I find when I use them for an extended period of time, I kind of put myself on autopilot and I'm like
Oh
not
man.
really thinking about where people might be and just looking through the scope at at everything I possibly can.
I think I'm done with the Reaper now.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
mean it's definitely good. But yeah, I think they can make a little bit of changes to the scope
Change
Yeah.
the.
for from a balance perspective because I've on some maps they're a little bit strong or they're just too common in my
I would
opinion.
agree with that
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What is one thing that you hope Tarkov will add or change, or something you hope they take out from the game?
Something they take out from the game. Um, Not that they would take it out. I think seeing more tweaks to the AI, which they're constantly doing. They don't whenever they change the AI in the game, they don't tell us. They never do. They just kind of make the changes and listen to feedback. Um, I think one thing that would really help is getting better behavior on the scav bosses, specifically and raiders. Um, I think that can make fighting. It feels like when you fight scav bosses and raiders in the game, it's either you kind of manipulate their AI to kill them, or they just laser beam you from a mile away and you die instantly.
That
Yep.
is true.
So I think which they're constantly doing. Especially recently, I've noticed a lot of changes in the behavior of scavs, even and like them using more like human-like behavior. I often even see a scav and I'm like, oh my god, that was a scav. I thought that was a player. So I think if they get I would like to see them change the AI, get it a little more engaging to fight against. I would say.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so having more better AI behavior would be really cool for the game.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So with changes, what is your opinion on the new weight system that's been included? Is that going to
Ah,
make it an even more steep learning curve, or do you think it's not going to affect the newer players as much as the older ones?
so I don't think the weight system is gonna affect a lot of newer players. I think the weight system mostly affects people who maybe a lot of like streamers, people who are going in the raid and trying to kill 8 players and
Mm-hmm.
then take all their stuff out of the raid. Or people like me who don't really loot the map and we kind of just run around and try to get all of our money from other players.
Okay.
The newer guys, not really. You're not going to go in the raid. You probably don't even know where to go and
Yeah.
find 80 kilograms of loot. Um, so I think the weight changes in general. I think a weight system is a good idea for the game and it makes sense. Um, I think they just need to tweak. Uh, they need to play around with it a little more, and they might need to change the value to weight ratio of items in the game. Because it seems a lot of the heavier items are less expensive than the lighter items.
Okay.
And from that perspective, a weight system kind of feels awkward in the game, where like a graphics card weighs nothing, but it's worth 10 times as much as
Yeah.
a car battery that weighs 10 times as much, right? Um, so like I said, this game is always changing, and nothing's ever set in stone, so I wouldn't I wouldn't place a lot of hope that things are gonna stay exactly the way they are.
Okay. And I think that's a respectable answer because we are still
Yeah.
beta. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
who knows
And
what's
they
going to
just
change.
added the weight system. So
Yeah, that's another big thing. It's brand
Yeah.
new.
It can
yeah, I
always
mean,
change.
if you went back in the day when I first started playing the game, there wasn't even a face hitbox back then. If you were wearing a helmet with no face shield, you were like a god. So that's a thinking back to that time to where we are now. You know, people would say, oh, the best helmet in the game used to be the Kiver,
Okay.
and now the Kiver is like the trash tier item that nobody really wears.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, they might have said, "Oh my God, the Kiver's OP, nerf it," and now it's, you know, well, we added a face hitbox. It totally changes how the game works. So
Absolutely. I know my face shields have saved me a ton.
yeah,
Even with the one bullet makes a difference on those, which blows my mind.
huh. Yep.
The Alton for the win.
The Alton's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, I love the Alton. It's my favorite helmet.
Yeah.
Blason, you got another question for him?
Let's move over to the streamer side, Lamar. I want to ask you something.
Okay.
Do you find it harder to play while streaming, or become, you know, become second nature now to you, or is it, harder for you to still play?
I wouldn't say it's harder. I mean, I get it. It's harder. You know, it's just more division of your attention to different tasks. You know, rather than focusing. I look at the chat for 1 second, I might miss a guy, and he shoots me in the face. You know, that happens a
Oh,
lot. Um, it's not really hard to do. It kind of becomes second nature, but it's definitely not the best thing for your gameplay, right? But
Yeah, I
yeah.
get that.
it becomes second nature to do, but sometimes, you know, you're looking at your other monitor and a guy pops up on your screen and you're not ready for him.
Wow. So you're going live after this in about 15 minutes?
Yeah, around then, yeah.
Okay, do we have time for like 2, 3 more questions?
Yeah, go for it, man. Yeah.
Okay, also, I just want to make
Fine.
sure that we're not going to run over with your schedule.
No rush, man. No, you're good. Don't worry about it.
Awesome. So, a big talk that I've heard is a lot of people discussing if Tarkov is going to have an esports in the future. What is your feel on that?
I don't know about East. They would have to, if they wanted to. I don't think they're really interested in that, but I don't know. If they wanted some kind of competitive scene, they would have to make an entirely different game mode, like a 5v5 objective-based game mode, something like, you know, we've seen like Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six Siege. I think there's definitely a cool possibility of competitive scene in Tarkov, but they'd have to, you know, tighten up a lot of the gameplay, you know, the hit reg server issues. It also makes it tough because there's a lot of randomness in Tarkov.
That's
The
true.
way bullets work, penetration, stuff like
Yeah.
that, and those types of mechanics, while they can be very fun, they don't lend themselves very well to a competitive game. But I
That's true.
think there's been talks of an arena mode.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it, but if they added something like that with, you know, 5v5 competitive, capture the flag, like search and destroy type of game mode, I think there's a big audience that would like that.
I would
think
love
that
it.
could be really fun.
Yeah,
I would love
it.
it too. I don't know how it would work as far as, you know, like loot and items would go, but I think that would be really cool. I would be excited for that for sure.
I would as well. That would be really fun to play in for a Tarkov type game.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And even if it's not an esports type of thing, I think it would just be really cool.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
nothing else. There's nothing like that, right?
Yeah.
There's no games as difficult as Tarkov, so adding that spin on top of it,
Yeah.
I think even without the esports, I think it would definitely add something special that it would have a big
community
community for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the game mechanics overall with the bullet penetration, the leaning, the movements, it's different from any other first person shooter on the
Right.
market. So seeing it in that competitive aspect would be pretty interesting to see how it's done.
Definitely would. I would be excited for it. I would play that so much probably. I would love something like that.
Wow.
would you like them to take loot from your stash, or would you like to see it like a Call of Duty loadout kind of system?
Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. I don't know how they would work that out. I'm not sure. I don't really know what the best way to do it would be.
It would be
Uh,
interesting, regardless which way they went on how it would work.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it working like a loadout kind of system, or maybe, they give you a certain few options and you can tweak, sights and stuff like that on
That
different
would be neat.
loadouts.
That would be neat.
Just for like things that are more personal preference instead of like uh something to give you a competitive edge. But yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, and I agree with, it'd be neat if they let you have options, because if you had people going into that and people were running like 600k weapons over, a 50k weapon,
Yeah.
at that point, skill is the determining factor on who wins, but that is still, I would say, an advantage at some
Oh
point.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But
Definitely.
so what is, and this is another kind of random out the wall question of Tarkov, not completely out the wall, but it's a very basic question. What is your favorite map?
I feel like that changes over time a lot.
Okay,
But I also play the game a lot more than the average person.
understandable.
So I might get tired of certain things. At the moment, it's labs.
Okay,
Just it's a map where I can just nonstop run around and shoot things. That's kind of fun. Customs is always a go-to. I would say labs, customs, and interchange would be my top three.
okay,
Um,
awesome.
yeah, yeah, I like the PvP oriented, high octane, fast gameplay maps.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Wow. Blazin, you got another one? I'll let you do the last question if we have time for one more.
Yep. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, keep them coming, man.
What
We still got time.
All right.
what exact gun would you like to see added to the game in the future, or even now?
So I get asked this, I don't know how many times a stream, but the Scar in 5.56 and 7.2. I want to see both of them. But I
So
would
the
love
same
to
as
see that
your
gun.
in real life dream weapon.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I think
There
that
we
would be
go.
one. I think it would already fit in with the ammo types that they already have in the game.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it's planned. I saw models of it
Okay.
months ago. I think they teased it on their Twitter. But there's not a lot. There's only 2 fully automatic 7.62 weapons in the game, so having a few more of those might be kind of fun.
Yeah. Or dangerous.
Cool. Yeah, it might be dangerous too. That's true.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
last one for you. Are you super excited about the map design of Streets at Tarkov? And if like you guys saw the
Um,
blueprint yet, or your thoughts
um,
on that?
it looks kind of crazy. I don't think I've really ever seen a map with that much detail as far as buildings go in a game yet. Can't really think of anything that much accessibility to different buildings and rooms. I'm kind of worried about the performance of the map, but just because, like I said, I've never seen anything like that before. But Battlestate's always done a good job at optimizing the maps over time, so I'm sure they'll figure out anything like that. But the map looks sick, man. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect from it. But I've heard there's been rumors of it being used to access labs, where you have to go into that map to go into labs, and then you have to extract. And that could be kind of interesting. Could really
Mhm.
change up a lot of the dynamics of the game. I'm excited for it. New content's always good. Battlestate does a really good job in their map design, and whenever they add new content, it's usually really quality work. So whatever they do, pretty confident it'll be awesome.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Well, we want to say thank you for your time. Definitely
Hey,
giving
thank you for
that
having me, man.
to us. For everybody watching right now, just a heads up, like I said earlier, he's going to be going live on his Twitch soon. We should have the links and everything in the comments. So definitely check him out. Make sure to hit that follow and that sub button, because he has earned it. Again, he's one of the top ranked Escape from Tarkov players. So thank you for being with us. Thank you, viewers.
Hey.
Make sure to check him out.
Thank you guys for watching me, and thank you guys for having me. It was a blast.
Well,
Thanks,
definitely. And we look forward to possibly, hopefully in the future, doing more collaborations like this. So
Yeah,
we'll see what
I'd love
happens.
to, man. Yeah.
Awesome. I
Thank you so
can't wait
much,
to see
guys.
what you do next season in Tarkov
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah,
keep up
for
the
sure.
good work, man.
All
To
right,
the
man.
to the viewers, one last thing. I was told that y'all were pushing questions through the comments, but unfortunately, for some reason, we were not able to see them. We will get that worked out for the next interview, make sure everything's good. So yeah, I appreciate all y'all for being here again, and good luck on your stream tonight.
All right,
Thank you,
guys.
Landmark.
All right,
Bye,
take
everyone.
Take care.
Bye. Take it easy.